professionals need to know about artificial intelligence, or AI. Today's webinar is sponsored by Corcentric. I'll be your presenter for today, Mark Brousseau. A few housekeeping notes before we get started. If you have any questions during the course of today's webinar, I encourage you to type them into the question and answer box on your screen. Simply click send, and we'll respond to your question at the conclusion of today's webinar. So chances are someone in your organization has got a project underway that's focused on artificial intelligence, or commonly referred to as AI. But what does it mean to procure-to-pay professionals? That's the focus of today's webinar. Today we're going to talk about where we stand in procure-to-pay, how artificial intelligence addresses the challenges we face, the three key benefits that you can achieve by applying artificial intelligence to your procure-to-pay process, and then we'll have some parting thoughts. So when we look at where it is we stand in procure-to-pay today, well, from a lot of vantage points, it's not so hot. The procure-to-pay function in most businesses remains mired in paper-intensive manual processes. And all of those manual processes, well, they leave little time for the value-added activities that you probably want your staff focused on. In fact, 84% of the typical procure-to-pay professional's time is spent on transaction processing. Now, I only went to public school, but by my math, that only leaves 16% of the P2P professional's time for the kind of value-added tasks we want them doing. Stuff like cash flow analysis, supplier management, and cleaning up those filthy vendor-master databases. Thing is that procure-to-pay departments have historically been organized around tactical activities. Things like paper routing, manual data entry, filing documents, and keying stuff into your ERP application. Oh yes, and delivering periodic reports. And in most procure-to-pay departments, well, these tasks are performed in a manual or semi-automated environment. In fact, a survey by Shared Services Link found that 91% of shared services leaders want to increase the level of automation in their P2P functions. 47% of them, they say they're not very automated at all. This is leading to big problems in our P2P departments. A study by PricewaterhouseCoopers really puts the exclamation point on this. They found that 27% of the time that the typical procure-to-pay practitioner spends during their workday is on stuff that's wasteful or activities that could be automated. One good example of this is the amount of manual paper invoice handling that our departments need to do. More than half of you can't post more than 50% of the invoices you receive without manual processing. In fact, only 2% of organizations can post more than 95% of their invoices straight through without human operator intervention. Now, some of you might be wondering, well, how realistic is it that we're going to be able to post many of our invoices straight through? Well, if you're using a solution such as Corcentric, it is possible. Many organizations are receiving invoices electronically, extracting the data, validating it, matching it to POs, routing it, if necessary, to ERP for automatic upload. And it's not just that our organizations are doing a lot of manual paper handling. It's also that they're rather inflexible. 81% of shared services execs say that their P2P processes aren't very flexible. What's more, they really can't support scalability. We know that in today's economy, we're seeing invoice volumes rise. We're seeing our business environments change. We have disruptive new competitors that are forcing us to compete in a more agile and global way. And yet the processes we rely on aren't up to the task. So it's no surprise that P2P leaders are looking for ways to improve their level of efficiency, and do it, they're looking to become more automated. They're not looking to put more people at it. They're not looking to restructure their teams or to upskill their teams. They're looking to find ways to eliminate those manual tasks altogether. And so we're going to see over the next several years that organizations are going to try to make better use of their current technology, and they're going to invest in new technologies. And it's not going to be the same old, same old. In many cases, organizations are starting with a fresh piece of paper. In many cases, your organizations are using technologies such as intelligent data capture to automatically extract data from invoices. You're using approval and exceptions resolution workflows to digitally route invoices, to match them automatically to POs, and to upload them seamlessly to your ERP. Some of you are using electronic invoicing solutions to eliminate that paper altogether. But more and more, organizations are using advanced technologies, disruptive technologies that really get to the heart of the problem in our procure-to-pay processes. Things like robotic process automation, which automates repetitive, simple, rules-based tasks, and artificial intelligence, or AI. Over the next several years, many businesses plan to deploy AI in their procure-to-pay function. In fact, what we find is that nearly 1/3 of P2P leaders believe that artificial intelligence is going to be the most important technology to the future of our profession. Well, no less than Bill Gates has called AI computer science's holy grail. So you're in good company if you believe that AI is pretty important to our profession. But the question becomes, what is it about AI that's got Bill Gates and P2P professionals alike so darn excited? Well, what is AI? AI enables software or machines to understand tasks by producing for itself the rules that a programmer can't specify. It allows technology to perform human intelligence. And when we think about procure-to-pay, burdened by complex rules for approving invoices, resolving exceptions, and mitigating fraud and compliance issues, well, that sounds right, like it's right out of AI's playbook. Chances are that you're using AI every day in your personal life. AI is being used to power self-driving cars. If you stay at a hoity-toity hotel, you might have seen a robot butler that brings you snacks and drinks right to your room. You might have used a medical kiosk at your healthcare provider's offices to be able to diagnose some simple ailments and where you are with your health. And many of you are using smart home devices, such as Alexa, to be able to help you understand where things are in the world around you, as well as to power your own homes. Now, what artificial intelligence is not is this malevolent technology that's ready to wipe out the human race. Many P2P leaders are concerned that technologies such as AI are going to ultimately spell the doom of our professional careers. That hasn't turned out to be the case in organizations that have deployed the technology. In fact, what we find is that the technology frees up staff to focus on the real work that they want to do. And for that reason, it turns out that staff morale goes up, not down, when organizations deploy AI. So how does this work? How could that possibly be, you might be wondering? Well, let's take a look at what it is artificial intelligence does. It starts by analyzing data sets and patterns. It automates those menial, time-consuming tasks, such as document classification and data extraction and invoice approval routing. And it understands the tasks that must be performed for a particular business application. What's more, over time, AI is going to use machine learning to achieve better results. It learns from its mistake. It watches what other folks do to solve business situations. And machine learning uses sophisticated algorithms to eliminate complex, rigid, time-consuming processes, all those steps that you lean on your IT department for or manual processing for. And so AI can train itself to recognize documents such as POs or invoices, to perform the necessary tasks such as extracting and validating the data from those documents, and then routing them to the right person, and understanding which invoice needs to be routed to which person based on business rules you've set up or how it's seen exceptions resolved in the past. And when the technology encounters a new or unknown document type, such as maybe a bill of lading that shows up in your department, well, now it's going to compare those characteristics with the types of documents it's already seen, so it can learn what should be done. Okay, maybe I need to look for a supplier number or an amount or a remitter address, just as some examples. So this makes AI really ideal for our complex P2P environments. But that's not all AI does. It also can mine information to provide contextual insights for your decision making. This is perfect for P2P environments today. For instance, AI can enable your department to leverage data from millions of transactions, which in the past might have just been sitting in file cabinets or maybe in just some big wonkin database that you never really did a whole lot with. And so it can help you manage your cash, identify preferred suppliers, spot trends that might not have been obvious to someone, and also call out data anomalies. And then the technology can also monitor your business processes. So just like it's peering into that data stored in the database, now it can monitor what's going on in your operations. And in this case, well, now we can help ensure compliance with regulations and policies. Now we can flag suspicious transactions. Now we can head off those bottlenecks that drive us P2P leaders crazy. And all of these insights are going to help you reduce your operational costs, better manage your cash, better manage your spend, and head off risks. Folks, industries all over the country are already using artificial intelligence. In financial services, they're using it for personalized financial planning. In healthcare, it's supporting diagnosis. In automotive, now where you have the autonomous fleets for ride sharing, and in logistics, we actually have autonomous delivery of goods. But you might be wondering, so what does this really mean to my department? What is it going to do for Procure-to-pay? Well, in our mind, there's really three big benefits of artificial intelligence in the Procure-to-pay space: improved productivity, better cash management, and risk mitigation. Let's take a look into each one of those. When it comes to productivity, artificial intelligence is a game changer. It has the ability to analyze large amounts of data. We know our P2P departments are floating with them. What's more, the whole move to P2P automation is all about what? Visibility and control. And to do that, well, you better have a handle on your data. So what artificial intelligence does is it analyzes data and it identifies patterns and features in that data. And over time, it's going to apply what it learns to new data. So this means that you're now able to not just report on what's happening. The technology can help you make decisions on what it means, why it's happening, what it will impact, and who it will impact. This has far-reaching implications across your organization. Just some simple ways this can be applied. AI can capture header and line item data from invoices with much, much greater accuracy than our antiquated optical character recognition solutions. It has the ability to validate invoice data early in the P2P process against information stored in your ERP or any system of record for that matter, so that now we're able to have information that's actionable earlier in the process. We're not waiting for it to show up at our ERP. 54% of executives say that artificial intelligence solutions implemented in their business have already increased productivity. And in P2P, where we have lots of data and lots of manual processes, you better believe that we're going to be able to achieve those types of benefits as well. But artificial intelligence doesn't just improve productivity. It helps us also get better control over our cash. When we think about P2P, what we find is that 26% of financial services organizations say that they're able to get value from their data. Yeah, that leaves us with 74% that aren't. We have tremendous amounts of data that shows up in our operations in a format that's called semi-structured or unstructured. This makes it hard for us to be able to extract the data from these documents. Optical character recognition solutions, they simply weren't built to be able to handle that kind of data. So what happens? Well, now we take that data and we dump it somewhere in a SharePoint repository, into an Excel database, into an email box or an archive, and we don't do anything with it. And yes, in case you're wondering, lots of you just stuff it into a file cabinet or a cardboard box. And some of you send it off-site to make yourselves feel better so you don't have to look at it. But we never really leverage all that data. And that's a shame, because that data can help us improve our cash management. If only we can get at it. So what artificial intelligence does, it allows you to capture all of the data that comes in your organization, whether it's structured, unstructured, or semi-structured. It works in tandem with technologies such as optical character recognition to improve the accuracy, to improve the results. And so we eliminate all of this data that we don't know what to do with, the so-called dark data, because we can't look into it. With artificial intelligence, it also provides us easier methods for mining unstructured and semi-structured data. It uses something called natural language processing for text indexing and classification of documents and data. Now we're able to not only find words that we are looking for or amounts, we're able to put context around them so we know what they mean. And this has big implications when it comes to cash and spending. It also learns over time. So it's going to be able to make better sense of the information it's pouring through as it pours through more information. And what's more, artificial intelligence easily integrates your systems across your financial enterprise. Hallelujah. This has been the Achilles heel of P2P organizations for so long. How many of you spent some time this morning cutting and pasting data from one system to another? Or worse, manually keying it. With artificial intelligence, you're able to not only upload that data automatically, you're also able to go find data from those systems of record so that can help us make sense of what it is we're processing. Today in our P2P data is being used for a lot of reasons. Organizations depend on it for forecasting, budgeting, planning, handling exceptions, for facilitating collaboration between finance and procurement, for optimizing the way we pay our suppliers, and yes, managing our cash and our spending. The problem is we don't give the organization a full picture of our data. And in many cases, we're doing it with an Excel spreadsheet. And so it's out of date the moment we click send. We need to find better ways to manage our data. And that's what artificial intelligence does. You're doing more than just automating the processing of POs or invoices. Now you're able to make better use of the data that resides on them. And over the next several years, this is going to be a big focus for your departments. A survey conducted by Shared Services Link found that most organizations anticipate that they're going to have slightly or significantly higher demands across the enterprise for their accounts payable data. And don't be misled by those 23% of folks who said they don't see change. The reason for that is, in many cases, Over the past 2 years, we've seen a huge spike already in demand for AP data across the enterprise. You're probably already getting calls from more stakeholders, from more corners of your organization who are looking for reports that you never previously had to provide. In your IT department, well, this is why they love AI, because now they won't be burdened with creating these custom reports out of their ERP systems. AI is going to help you fetch the information you need more easily. 59% of executives say that data management at their company would be improved through the implementation of artificial intelligence. We're here to tell you today that that's certainly the case in our P2P departments. Third, artificial intelligence helps P2P departments mitigate risk. Chances are your knees are buckling at the onerous compliance and fraud mitigation demands your organization's placing on you. We just saw a study from the Association of Finance Professionals that payment fraud has reached an all-time peak. Fraudsters are finding new ways, using new technologies to rip companies off. What's more, governments all around the world are creating all sorts of regulations managing how it is we should control our trade and commerce data. This is a big task in a paper-based environment. Well, artificial intelligence makes this a snap. We no longer need to rely on Sally, who's been working with us for 24 years, to know through an eyeball test transactions that just don't seem right. I mean, after all, Sally needs a day off every now and again. And every now and again, she might have a bad day and miss something. With artificial intelligence, the technology never takes time off. It always works at peak efficiency, and it can pour through those huge data sets. So now, we're not doing random samples of our transactions to hope we find those that don't look quite right. No, we can test all the data that comes through our organization, current and historic. And what's more, we can integrate with third-party databases. So we're able to augment the data we have to automatically spot compliance violations, such as all those lists that vendors might be on for us not to do business with them. And AI is going to do this on a continuous basis, not sometimes. And it's going to ensure segregation of duty and the adherence to our policies. So we don't have to worry about rigid workflow rules in our P2P systems to take control. This is going to augment those and make them even more responsive. What's more, artificial intelligence centralizes our access to information. Remember, the technology is able to integrate with multiple systems and processes. So now we have a 360-degree view of what's going on. This won't eliminate fraud and compliance violations, but it will certainly give you the upper hand in preventing them. 27% of executives say their organization plans to invest this year in cybersecurity safeguards that use artificial intelligence and machine learning technology. They recognize the ability that these technologies have to help mitigate risk and fraud. So why is this all important? Why are we having this discussion today for P2P leaders? Well, over the next 2 years, nearly 3/4 of you expect that the strategic importance of your function is going to grow, either slightly or significantly. In fact, 1/3 of you believe you're going to have significantly higher strategic standing across the enterprise. This is no surprise. CFOs recognize that if they can unlock the data that flows through our P2P function, now they're going to be able to have better control over their spend, over their cash, over the risks. They're going to be able to help affect the objectives that the business cares about most: growing revenues, growing profits, be able to respond to those disruptive competitors, the Ubers and Amazons and Airbnbs of the world that are turning entire industries on their head. You don't have a chance to do that if you can't get at the information that's locked on those paper POs and invoices. AI is going to help you do all this. And it's going to help give you leverage with stakeholders across the organization. And that leverage, it's that treasure trove of data that you're sitting on today. Procurement's going to use it for supplier management, spend management, contract compliance. Your finance and treasury teams are going to use it to optimize payment strategies, to look for opportunities to extend DPO, to pay suppliers electronically, to capture more early payment discounts, to know when to capture early payment discounts. Your security folks, they're going to use it to govern data, to make sure that audits are done properly and easily. AI isn't the answer to everything, but it is the answer as part of a key automation strategy. It is one of the steps that will help get your organization to that electronic, straight-through environment we're all striving to move toward. Chances are your organization's somewhere in a level 2 or level 3 where you have some automation, but you still have lots of manual processes. Look for a solution that leverages AI and other emerging technologies to help you root out those holdouts, those last manual processes. Then you can have an environment with touchless data capture, with exceptions-based workflows. So now staff only handles the true outliers. To be able to provide self-service, proactive, responsive answers to supplier inquiries, and real-time predictive reporting, augmented analytics. It's not just enough to aggregate data anymore. We need to be able to know what it means, who it's going to impact, and what we should do about it. AI is a key part of your automation strategy moving forward. The 3 things we want you to know about it is that it automates those repetitive tasks. It puts your staff to work on the things they want to be focused on. It's not a threat to them. It's going to liberate them so they can become the financial professionals they hoped to be. What's more, it analyzes large amounts of data and identifies features and patterns so that now you can act on your information more quickly and more informed. It also applies identified features to new data. It learns over time. So this isn't a one-shot improvement. This is sustained improvements over time. If you're trying to get your senior management to buy into an automation strategy, whether it includes AI or just a P2P solution, you want to start by detailing how P2P improvements will reduce costs and then improve efficiency and effectiveness. Start by benchmarking where you stand today. You want to provide your current metrics and detail costs to improve your effectiveness. And you want to spell out the comparative benefits of the technology. And trust me, when you tell your senior management that you're going to deliver a solution that's going to help them improve productivity, better manage cash and spend, and mitigate potential risks, you will have their undivided attention. Thanks for joining us for today's webinar on the 3 things P2P professionals need to know about artificial intelligence. If you want to learn more, I encourage you to contact Corcentric at the email or phone number now displayed on your screen. Thanks so much for joining us today. I look forward to speaking to you again.